So I just finished Days Gone last night and I wanted to give a quick review. I know I don't have much memory on my phone and I wanted to record on my phone so I don't have to edit. But yeah, a quick review of Days Gone, which I actually finished about 365 days after it came out, and obviously I'm a big super fan because I got all these cool things with my copy of the game. But basically, yeah, Days Gone is about two bikers, the main one played by Sam Witwer and it is called Deacon St. John, who is your character, surviving in the Oregon wilderness. Your character has lost his wife, maybe she might still be out there, you don't know. And with your brother, Boozer, who is just your biker brother, not your real brother, you go out in search of them, and along the way, you learn about yourself and about your friends and about what it's actually like to live in the apocalypse, and is there meaning in such chaos, and can you create a life for yourself? Now, in terms of a review, I think you have to talk about Sam Witwer's performance as Deacon St. John. Now, unlike a lot of protagonists, I'd say your Nathan Drakes, who are complex in some ways, but are quite one note. Deacon is very, very complex in that he can come across as a very, very nice guy, a caring guy. He really likes his friends. He's also a massive, massive arsehole as well. Treats people badly, is very hostile when he wants to be. He's very, very emotional. And it's clear that being out in this awful environment for 2 years has really messed with his head. He talks to himself, he mutters to himself, he is extremely vicious, he kills with extreme passion. Really, really, you can feel the anger towards his enemies, no matter who they are. It doesn't have to be the worst people in the world, it could just be other survivors. And the way he talks about killing them sometimes, and his threats about, tying them up, leaving them for the freaks who are the zombies in this game, sounds like he's done that quite a lot. So he doesn't seem like the nicest guy in a lot of respects, but I think the game is showing you his progression from coming back from, I guess, the darkness of his mental state, and through his experiences with the community. So, for example, Lost Lake, it is the main camp where you make a lot of friends. He becomes a more well-rounded and more mentally healthy individual. And I'm going to spoil the game here, so please stop watching if you don't want spoilers. The introduction of his wife and that sort of dynamic is really, really interesting. And there's lots of little things the game does. Just the little stories you hear in the camp of how brutal the outbreak was, how people change. And one scene I really, really love, it sticks in my head, is when you meet your wife again. Of course, because she's in this militia thing, she's hiding that she's actually married to you. But there's a mission you go on together, and she executes a guy without a gun. One of her old colleagues who worked at this lab that may or may not be responsible for the outbreak. She shoots him right between the eyes, cold blood, as he begs for his life in front of Deacon. And he just looks at her being like, you've changed. You're like me now. And what I liked about it is that in that situation, Deacon seems like the one who would let this guy go. But his wife, Sarah, who was never a violent person before the outbreak, is the one who kills him. And I thought it was just really interesting to see that. But what I like even more is there wasn't this massive talk about, you've changed, you're not the woman I married. It's actually like, I understand this is a really fucked up world. And if you got to kill someone like that, then that's your choice. And I'm not going to say anything. Who am I to judge you killing someone like that? I've killed loads of people. So I thought that was really interesting. There's just little moments like that. But then I really, really liked their relationship as well. I liked it, the flashback scenes, and I liked it together. The performances from both of them are really, really good. And also I like the supporting cast. I like Boozer. I really like Deacon and Ricky's relationship. I thought that's really interesting. And what the game does really well is you have the generic side missions, you have the generic main missions, but then you have these companion missions where you will go on a very long mission with one of the main characters, whether that is Iron Mike, Ricky, Schizo, Sarah, Boozer, lots of different ones, and you really get to know them properly. But these missions aren't just great for that, they're actually really well done in terms of, a more traditional third-person shooter and a structured action set pieces, and I really, really enjoyed that aspect to it. It made it feel very good, especially that mission with Schizo in the mine feels very, very high budget and very, very well constructed, so I really, really liked that. In terms of a lot of other things, I didn't really pay attention too much to the open world stuff, because this game could also be renamed The Never-Ending Story, in the sense that this game just never ends, and the map is absolutely huge when you think about it, and I appreciate the length in terms of you go through very different biomes and scenarios. Start off in the Oregon forests, helping a guy called Copeland, just doing bounties. being pretty much just generic biker bros, I guess. But then, you know, when you're looking for your wife Sarah and you're helping more people that you know, you transition to Lost Lake, which is a bigger camp, and you help them with a lot of their problems. You fight the Rest in Peace, who are a bunch of human cultists who worship the Freak and just carve loads of horrible scars into themselves, and that is a whole storyline there. And that is really interesting. That's when the game starts to really pick up. And when I'd done that, I thought the game was nearly over, and maybe they're saving his wife for the next game. But then you go to another part of the map, and you join some militia, a really big militia with really big camps, and you do loads of missions for them to try and, I guess, you know, rescue Sarah and get her out of there. But that is all really interesting, the way it transitions for these three big different areas, and each part of the game feels very, very different. Now, I do feel the game is too long in terms of there are a lot of good main missions, but there are a lot of missions that are a bit throwaway. You know, I don't really want to get Weaver, who is in the militia camp, his MP3 player. And I tell you why this put me off, because his MP3 player was in the middle of a massive horde. Now, these hordes are really, really challenging, but I didn't particularly like them because I think for me it ruined the pace of the game, because I'd be barreling through the story, coming towards the end. I could feel the end was in sight. Then it throws about 4 horde missions at me, and each one gets harder and harder. And when I've just done one, I'm like, thank God I won't have to do that again. And then I get an even harder one. So I had to keep doing it. And to be honest, I just cheesed them. I got my bike and just drove away when I could, and then came back and did it again. But it just became a bit frustrating. And I appreciate it's very different from other games, this horde mechanic. But in terms of a gameplay standpoint, I don't really like it, how it affects the flow. I'm playing Doom Eternal at the moment, and I think the Marauder enemy, you know, has a similar problem in that the sense, a lot of enemies in Doom Eternal are hard, but he is hard to an extent that it breaks the pacing in terms of he'll be the last one left alive. You have a one-on-one duel with him, and he might kill you, he might not, but I don't feel that's what Doom is good at, having these, you know, really long mini-boss battles, if you will. And I think Days Gone overuses the horde a bit, but in terms of the natural gameplay, coming across a horde in the wild, or just doing something random and you just see them coming, that is really, really great, and I'd like some more stuff like that. And sometimes it's used quite well. You know, the horde in that massive cave mission, that was good stuff as well. I really liked that, even though it was very, very hard. So I feel like in terms of gameplay, it's pretty solid overall. The shooting, I like the crafting, lots of really cool stuff to make, you know, napalm, molotovs, all this different stuff. So weapon variety is cool, lots of cool old weapons, World War II weapons. One more thing about the camp system though, I think it's way too hard to unlock the best weapons at multiple camps, because that means you're going to have to grind about 4 different camps, and this game is already very, very long. I just want a bit of a more natural access to the best weapons. I don't want to be grinding different things and different boring side missions for different camp leaders. That is a small critique. In terms of graphics, I initially started playing on my 4K monitor without HDR. I don't think they optimised it very well for the PS4 initially, but on, you know, the second half of my playthrough, I was playing on a 55 inch 4K TV with HDR. It looked really great. 60 frames looked great. The snow looked great. A lot of the environments looked really good. Not the best looking game I've ever seen, but you know, nice. And then, like I talked about the performances and everything, story was just very well done. One of the best stories, I feel, for this type of game in a while. I was very, very invested. I really liked the characters, and they really made me care about them through these little side missions, which I really appreciated. But yeah, Sam Witwer is a really, really great actor, underrated actor, gives so many layers to this character, and I just don't understand how this game was overlooked so bad. It's not perfect. There's a lot of jank. There's weird stuff that happens in cutscenes, like when he's giving a speech at the end. Too much of the crowd are cheering, but the audio sync is a bit out of whack. So I'm hearing cheering, and I'm struggling to hear what he's saying. And I think there's a lot more polish that could have gone into little things like that, because it's a weird game, because in some ways, high budget storytelling, high budget acting, high budget effects in terms of the mud and the rain and the snow, very, very good, but then a lot of jank in some places. So I can understand why some people didn't think it was perfect, but I think it's what's the word for it? You know, underneath a bit of dirt and a bit of grime, it's a very good game in spite of all that. So yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I won't be replaying it. I just feel there should be a way to progress through this game a bit quicker. And I appreciate all the content that is in there, but I just feel it hinders a lot of the enjoyment in terms of someone like me, especially as I've gotten older, working full time. I just don't have time to commit to this, and I don't want like time savers, but I think there's a lot of throwaway missions that are put in the way of the main narrative. Like I said, that Weaver's MP3 mission is probably the best example. You have to do that. You have to get this random guy's MP3 player in a massive horde of people. Even contextually, I feel that doesn't make much sense. That you would do this while you're striving towards your end goal of, helping Lost Lake, helping Sarah, all these different things. So yeah, overall, this game was very, very good. I enjoyed it. And I think what I will take from this, because I just like taking little things, even if I never touch these games again, Sam Witwer's performance was so good. One of the best video game performances I've seen. And I knew this guy could act through Darth Maul, through Starkiller, but there is just many layers to this guy. And I think his chemistry with Sarah was great. His chemistry with Ricky and Boozer, I think that was all good stuff. And, I really would like to see behind the scenes of their acting. Were they all in the studio together, mocapping it all? I think he said he was mocapping himself, but I'd be interested to know. And yeah, the world of Days Gone it is ripe for a sequel. That stuff with O'Brien at the end is really interesting in terms of subverting a bit of, expectations in a zombie game. So hopefully they take what they've learned here, polish it up a bit in terms of all the weird glitches, all the weird little things in the cutscenes. And I'm just, hopeful for a sequel, and I hope the cast all return. I don't know where you would take this game, but I'm certain you can improve upon this. So definitely not a hidden gem, but if you see it on sale, I'd say pick it up. And I'm happy I got this out of the way before The Last of Us, because I know that's going to be another quality zombie game, and I'm glad I've been clearing my backlog. Next up, I need to finish Doom, and then maybe Detroit, which I started the other day. But yeah, this is just a quick little review on my second channel. I just wanted to say something about this game because I've seen a lot of the discourse, and I saw the review scores giving it 6s. This game is not a 6. This game is a 7 or an 8 or a 9 for some people if you like it that much. It's the story just is good enough to paper over a lot of the cracks, and I think at its heart it is a fun game as well, and unique. A nice. You're a biker in the apocalypse. Might sound generic for a zombie film or a zombie TV show. It hasn't happened much in video games, and the horde technology is really, really cool.